Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, I am the one and only Tiana here once again, and I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Kirby's Eternal Dreamland Deluxe for the Nintendo Switch, basically based off from Kirby's Eternal Dreamland back on the Nintendo Wii, while we still playing through Extra Mode. So, last time, we've essentially did manage to fully 100% everything in Onion Ocean, and today for this video is about the fact that we're going to be going on to White Wafers, I think is what it says anyway. Apologize for that mispronunciation of that specific world's name, by the way, because I know for a fact it's been about quite a few hours ago since I actually have last played this. Because of that though, as I said before, is about the fact that we're going to be having ourselves multiple Kirby's Eternal Dreamland Deluxe uploading schedule for this week, and then everything else will change ensuing at some point until next week. But that's just because about the fact that for what I've heard, that Ray the Flying Squirrel, he's finally become a lot more better today, because as a result, he no longer has himself the actual sore throat, so as a result, he'll be back onto the forms of Super Mario RPG for this particular weekend, and exponentially he'll be back onto Donkey Kong Country for the Game Boy Advance at some point until next Tuesday. So because of that though, yeah, everything else will be pretty much settled for this point. Now, speaking of the forms of some uploading schedule changes, specifically when it gets to the point until at the very end of August, during that time, that as far as I'm aware, sensed about the fact that we actually now onto, well, let's just say that we now onto the halfway point in terms of the forms of the extra mode of the forms of Kirby's Eternal Dreamland Deluxe, as far as I'm concerned. Well, relatively speaking though, it's about the fact that since that we're still pretty much lacking with the forms of uploading schedules for that specific matter, although mind you about that specific point about the fact that we've almost nearly at the end in Super Mario RPG already, well, mind you about the fact that, well, obviously Ray the Flying Squirrel still needs to be able to actually focusing on some extra side quests or any other content for that matter, but I'm sure enough though about the fact that he's already been settled for the sake of the forms of trying to able to get back onto Super Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo anyway. So, but either way though, everything else will be pretty much expected at that front point. So, anywho though, so a few things I want to explain for this point today, and that's what appears to be about the fact that today's date is of course the 17th of August today, in some cases in 2023 today. I was originally trying to able to explain something related to the forms of Mario Kart Tour's next tour coming up, but I'm afraid to tell you that can wait until at some point until tomorrow. But that's just because, about the fact no matter what though, well, better late than never I suppose, but basically, happy 6th anniversary of the release of Sonic Mania, specifically the base game, specifically when it comes to able to have ourselves some very weird main menu designs, and especially noticeable with the forms if you can only select up to 3 different playable characters, which, while looking back in Sonic Mania as a standalone game itself, it still is by far one of my favorite Sonic games I've ever played. So because of that though, yeah, because I'm still very glad able to get myself the physical version, while at the same time, managed able to actually got myself the actual DLC with it too. But either way though, it's hard to explain about this honestly, because I know for a fact it's been quite a few days since I actually mentioned something related to Sonic the Hedgehog stuff. So because of that though, oh, sure things worth noting for is about the fact that, relatively speaking though, is about the fact that someone said in the comment section down below, well to be more specifically, someone actually said something during the forms of my comment section down below, during the forms of in one of those parts in extra mode in this game, seems about the fact no matter what though is that Disney is going to be working on the live action version of Tangles, and I was like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm basically done with all that ridiculous amount. Although, you usually get over-exaggerated with this specific formula. I'm guessing because they really want able to get back on track for its money count, or potentially speaking though, it's just about the fact that I'm just so sick of the forms of those live-action adaptations for certain Disney films nowadays, because again, they just somehow feels a bit lacking originality department, which I know I keep saying that a lot, but basically that's just the way how I feel about them, especially noticeable at that specific point where that, again, it just feels kind of emotionless, and on top of that, that I know for a fact that a lot of fans out there were already going to be disliking the Snow White movies about to be releasing next year. But either way though, because of the forms of the specific formula they managed able to go through, and especially noticeable because, well, I just got no words to say about this, especially noticeable because you know about the fact that, I'm not overly keen on live-action movies for certain Disney films nowadays, because obviously it just feels a bit, well, kind of lacking in charm, and on top of all that stuff, though, it just feels like it's running out of ideas at this rate. Especially noticeable that, well, I can suffice to say, for this year in particular, or generally speaking, when it comes to the forms of the entire campaign of Disney 100th anniversary or something like that, is that Disney 100 is not very great, I will admit that right away. Especially noticeable after the forms of some box office performance issues, and on top of that, unnecessary amounts of those sequels they're going to be able to announce, and on top of all that stuff though, I'm still curious to check them out. But as a result of that specific stuff though, I didn't able to actually get myself my high expectations for certain projects in the future. So, but either way though, I was expecting if I was trying to grab the cupcake, but now I did anyway, so that should be all pretty swell. And of course, if you probably already know, yeah, I'm still currently wearing the actual dark matter mask based off from Kirby's Dream Land 2. In some cases, the final boss in Kirby's Dream Land 2. So because of that though, yeah, that might actually make it a little bit more suitable for the sake of the forms of, the villains in a chronological order when it comes to gaming releases for certain Kirby titles, specifically the main platforming genre for that specific matter. But I suppose no matter what though is about the fact that when it comes to everything else I could possibly explain about this as well, that's what appears to be about the fact that, oh, and by the way, something's worth noting for as well, that this video is going to be pretty lengthy, especially noticeable because like I said before, there are a couple of times I will able to actually come across into death situations here and there, especially noticeable during that specific point that, well, at least potentially speaking, I will try my best able to be as fast as I humanly can, but sometimes though, that trial and error usually comes into play, especially noticeable because if I wasn't exactly paying attention to the forms of certain enemy appearances or respawning points, but as a result, hopefully by that time until the next couple of worlds later, well, excluding by the forms of the 6th world, which is of course Egg Engines, because obviously with Egg Engines, if you ever played the extra mode of that particular world, do able to actually brings us to the extra boss fight, which was not being appeared during the forms within the main story mode, which, relatively speaking though, that we'll discuss more details about that during at some point until on next Monday, because as far as I'm aware, that I was going to able to try explain about the forms of certain other content still able to bring us something in the future for the next Mario Kart Tours tour event, but obviously about the fact that I should probably able to save that particular topic and during at some point until on Monday, just to make things a little bit more interesting for the sake of the forms of certain commentary and all that stuff. Whilst meanwhile for Ray the Flying Squirrel, they're assuming of course he'll be going back into Super Mario RPG as you probably expect, that he's going to be continually mentioning about the forms of certain descriptions for enemies, bosses, and you name the rest. So, anyways, let's go ahead and use Ninja again, so just in case we can able to actually bypass that specific security door, and that way it should make able to actually make this strategy work. So, pretty swell, I might add. And one thing I found was a little bit interesting is that every time whenever you do manage to able to obtain the energy sphere, once you do manage to wear the dark matter mask, basically though, I'm pretty sure the sound effects are entirely 8-bit because obviously dark matter never makes its return, since I would classify for saying since during the forms of I don't know about you, because it's been quite a few days since actually I've last played certain other Kirby games throughout, because obviously about that specific point that I was not paying attention, so whoops. Anywho though, something's worth noting for about the fact no matter what though, is that there's another topic I should probably explain about this, and that's what appears to be about the fact that assuming of course that recently, that out of nowhere, that some of the Amigo Party Central is actually getting a demo, which it already came out, specifically in North America. I'm not exactly sure about what's going to happen on the UK version, but I do know for certain for one thing is about the fact that obviously some of the Amigo is actually getting very close to its release, specifically some of the Amigo Party Central for the Nintendo Switch. Now as a result of that particular matter though, I suppose we're able to let Ray the Flying Squirrel were able to actually mention more about it. enjoying at some point once he's about to go back on to not only Super Mario RPG, but also with Donkey Kong Country for the Game Boy Advance. So everything else will be pretty much accounted for. So anyways, though, so let's just go ahead and leave this room, because after all, with that specific energy sphere that we did somehow obtain, and everything else will be pretty much accounted for the sake of the forms of how the entire structure is going to place out to be. So anyways, let's just go ahead and keep on jumping, and hopefully without getting myself too much trouble for this point. Although, again, I do apologize for my commentary is a little bit slightly iffy at this point, but that's just because about the fact that I was expecting if I was trying to mention about something related to Mario Kart Tour coming up, but as I said before, I'll save that specific topic until tomorrow. Well, with only one little detail, but that's just because about the fact that every time whenever they do manage to bring an early screenshot for the next tour coming up for Mario Kart Tour, they just obviously only showed us some brief images around here. Especially noticeable, they continued that tradition since during the forms of not only in the 100th tour, which appears to be the Pipe Tour, which did later on revealed Piranha Plant Pipeway, and on top of all that stuff though, with Lakeside Park in a Sunshine Tour, and of course Squeaky Clean Sprint during the forms of the, you know, the Vacation Tour, which I know for certain for one thing, as far as I mentioned this before, since in yesterday's video, that it so sucks for me to actually not able to get myself, you know what I'm saying, Green Bodo, because I was expecting to able to actually get her, but it's already too late. So as a result, what I've noticed on the second week during the forms of the Vacation Tour, I somehow realized that we're about to get ourselves the question mark block me racing suit instead, which nothing special on my part, especially noticeable because technically we've already got that ever since in the let's just say about a year ago or something like that, which I did somehow manage to able to already obtain that in the past tours ago. But as a result, yeah, I'm still not a big fan of the ranking cup system because again, it just feels kind of luck based to me. So, but that's just the way I feel about it anyway, especially noticeable because relatively speaking, I just really want to able to get a move on for the sake of the forms of like, I'm just hoping that about the fact that, well, I don't know about you, because I'm just getting tired of the forms of Mario Kart Tour right now, especially noticeable concerning about that specific point where, you know, every time when I play the game, it just always gets a lot of RMG on me, and on top of that, I still really wish if they'll support, you know, with the actual Bluetooth controllers, like for instance with the, you know, Nintendo Switch controllers, which I know there's actually a method you can able to do it, but it's actually a lot complicated for me, especially concerning about that specific point where I've got nothing else to say about that. So anyway though, so yeah, I'm very surprised that, you know, we're getting a actual demo for some of the Amigo Party Central, and on top of all that stuff though, there's also going to be a release date. It's actually going to be later down the road. Although, before we get into more details onto that specific topic though, it seems about the fact no matter what though, is that Stranger Things is actually getting the 5th season, or should I say the 5th and final season for Stranger Things, which I've heard about the series already, but I've never actually watched any of them, which I know it seems about the fact it's kind of weird for me to say this, but usually relatively speaking it was about the fact I can totally see why that Stranger Things is actually a lot popular these days, especially noticeable with this countless amount of merchandise, and especially noticeable with a lot of posters they brings us into, and especially noticeable with a lot of you know, clothing and all that stuff, which seriously, that particular series became a lot popular since in 2016, which as a result, it's been about 7 years ago since when Stranger Things has firstly introduced. So either way though, yeah, I can totally see why that series became a lot popular. So anywho though, so there's also another thing I should probably explain about this as well, is that it appears to be out of nowhere as well. That's, the matter what though, is about the fact that they're about able to get ourselves a actual specific video that had already been established, and that's what appears to be yet another MLP, specifically My Little Pony Generation 5 music video that has been up already. And then something tells me that could be something related to the forms of the next chapter coming up. So, but either way though, well, don't expect things I'm also able to actually get my hopes and high expectations for the continuation parts and during the forms of Make You Mark series, because as far as I'm aware, that's what about the fact that my hype levels is actually going to get much lower for the sake of the forms of the actual specific stuff for that matter. So anyway, let's go ahead and bring up the ninja outfit, so just in case we can able to dish out that particular Sphere Duma. Oh god, this is the one that gets a little bit tricky with all that electricity plasma attacks that he just somehow brings us into. So I'm gonna have to able to try to not be too risky, so much to the point that I'm almost gonna be able to die at this point. So alright, come on, let's see if I can able to. Oh, come on! Oh god! Jeez, the ice physics doesn't seem to help me as much, but thankfully we've got the ninja ability, so I could potentially try to able to finish him off, as so much to the point that I was expecting to try to able to finish him off like that, but you were kidding me! I was so close to able to finish him off. Oh, that's what I mean about the fact that this video might actually feel a little bit lengthy. But don't worry, assuming of course that we've already managed to pass for that particular obstacle segment, so at the very least we can able to still try again, so. But of course, if you're probably wondering, yeah, if you do manage to take care of the forms of Sphere Dumas again, if you manage to able to replay the exactly same level again, you get yourselves a different collectible, as you probably expect at this point, so. Oh, jeez, he's way too, obnoxious to deal with, even with that specific out-of-nowhere camouflage thing right there. So I think I should probably use my energy drink as quickly as I can, so just in case I can able to actually just try to... you know what I'm saying, this is where the point where the fact that I'm also able to start wasting... You were kidding me! Seriously! I just found the plasma one is actually really annoying to deal with. Man, I really wish if I was gonna have myself the tornado ability, because still, the tornado ability did seriously rocks, but oh well, third time's the charm, I guess. So it's just about the fact, no matter what though, I will say this right now, is that the Plasma Sphere Duma is probably one of my least favorite versions of the Sphere Duma types. Probably my least favorite sub-boss in the entire game. Although, sure, I can basically know what to do, but even then, it's just I don't find this particular Sphere Duma to be all that hard. It's very tedious to able to actually keep on getting a lot of hits from, especially noticeable with this very annoying camouflage attack that he did somehow manage able to let me go through for this point, or perhaps even maybe it's because of my ninja ability or something like that. There we go, now we finally managed able to dish him out of there, so there we go. Gosh, that took me a lot longer than I thought I was going to, especially noticeable because after all, it's definitely not a good thing to able to actually waste so many extra lives at this point. Although mind you about the fact that if you do get a game over though, you get yourself 7 extra lives back, so assuming of course about the fact that technically it's more accurately, I don't know, 8 lives if I'm assuming so. Well, mind you, I haven't exactly tested this out for myself when it comes to obtaining the game over for certain Kirby games. The only few exceptions there are obviously Kirby's Dream Land 1 in extra mode specifically because of how obnoxiously difficult that can be. And on top of all that stuff though, with any other like boss rush modes for not only Kirby's Adventure, Kirby's Dream Land 2, and especially noticeable with Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards, and Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, and Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, presumably, and of course Kirby Squeak Squad, and pretty much everything else, because obviously about the fact that with those games in mind, that's just for bragging rights, but as a result, unlike in Kirby's Dream Land 3, they do need to require to able to actually beat the boss rush mode in order to able to get a full 100% completion, because obviously without it, then obviously about the fact that you're about to able to realize that there's no healing stations at all, so yeah, you probably get the gist of it though. So either way, let's go ahead and move on to 4-3 right now, so hopefully we won't be able to have too much any troubles with it at all, although sometimes though that might be seems the case when it comes to the majority of extra mode as far as I'm concerned. But either way though, that's as far as I can usually think about it, but at the very least we got ourselves an extra life back at the very least, so anyways, let's go ahead and bring out the spear ability, so just in case we can able to just poke through that particular bomb block that we can able to reveal some more star collectibles. So that's basically all there is to say about this, I guess. So anyway, in terms of the forms of Stranger Things, the 5th season, or should I say the final season to be more specifically, I'm not exactly sure when that's going to be releasing until, but I do know for certain for one thing is about the fact that it's kind of weird that, well, relatively speaking though, despite the fact that we've never actually get ourselves the, one of those seasons released, during the forms of in 2020 and 2021, just because of the forms of the actual pandemic, as you probably already expect. But, basically though, it's about the fact that, well, we have no idea when that specific season is about to be releasing. So, anywho though, in terms of other things I could possibly explain about this, and that's what appears to be about the fact that, let's talk about the forms of, certain, stuff I would like to point things out. For whatever reason, is that Barbie, you know, that new Barbie movie, as far as we already bring this out, for whatever reason, in South Korea, is actually flopped, which I'm not exactly sure why that's been flopped in that specific country in South Korea. I'm not exactly sure what that's supposed to be, but either way though, I'm guessing because they are furious for the sake of Koreans won't watch that particular movie in mind. So, not exactly sure why that seems to be the case, but either way though, I'm guessing because the forms of some very complications here and there, which I would have able to explain things properly, but it's just about the fact that I've never actually looked upon that much description for it, so. Anywho though, oh, and another thing's worth noting for is about the fact that, well, relatively speaking though, is about the fact that, potentially speaking though, for those of you who lived in the UK, that, I can't even believe that New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the Nintendo 3DS has officially became 11 years old recently for the UK version, so, yeah, while looking back on it though, it definitely is one of my least favorites in terms of the New Super Mario Bros. Game still, but that's just because of the lack of difficulty, and on top of that, the lack of originality, and on top of that, how ridiculously easy to get extra lives in this. Although, it still is a fun game, don't get me wrong, but it's just about the fact I feel like that New Super Mario Bros. 2 is easily one of the easiest New Super Mario Bros. Games out of the bunch, especially because of the amount of lives you're going to be getting, especially noticeable the amount of abundance of coins you're about to able to keep on getting, which I totally see why with the marketing strategy right there, but relatively speaking though about the fact that I'm very appreciative about the Super Mario Bros. Wonder no longer has a new branding anymore. But that's just because about the fact that we've already gone through the forms of a lot of complaints about, you know, the lack of originality, and especially noticeable with the lack of unique themes. So hopefully about that specific point that Super Mario Bros. Wonder, or should I say Super Mario Bros. 9, that basically they'll bring us something unique to the table, so, which we already know about this already from the start, so thanks to the forms of that specific, direct presentation, so, and somehow about the fact that I think we're actually getting quite close to the point that maybe, that just maybe, that Gamescom might able to actually get ourselves almost approaching up to this point, especially noticeable because concerning about that specific point that we might able to actually see some more gameplay footage from some other games for that matter, like for instance with Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and maybe potentially with other games for that matter, but I suppose we might as well find out more details about that during at some point in the next couple of days, and even potentially speaking of that maybe we can able to actually get ourselves some more gameplay footage on Sonic Superstars as well, because I know for a fact that for one noticeable thing is about the fact that I'm still excited for it. So, but either way though, let's just go ahead and deal with this particular part right there, and at the same time we'll just have to able to just use the ice copy ability, like so. It's bad enough that Knight was actually in my way. So, anywho, what I found out, in terms of the forms of the Kingdom Hearts facts, that apparently though, there's actually not one, but 3 different trios for what I've noticed, and that's what appears to be about the fact that, well, for the likes of the forms of both Sora, Riku, and Kairi, those 3 trios are more considerably became like Destiny trio, and that makes it a little bit more obvious sense kind of thing about it, which I'm not exactly sure how to explain about this, because again, it's been about quite a few hours ago since I actually have last recorded this, so either way, and something tells me I'm about to die again, because I'm being so hasty once again, especially noticeable. I was trying to able to be as fast as humanly as possible, but sometimes though, with the forms of certain boss patterns, sometimes it throws me off at points, so... Oh, jeez. I think I will have to admit it though right away is that the 4th world might be felt a little bit too rough around the edges for me though, but maybe at some point, once we get the forms within the 5th world and during at some point until tomorrow, obviously about the fact that we'll make things a little bit of a better run. So, but either way though, I just have no words to able to think about it. So anyways, in terms of the forms of another trio for the Kingdom Hearts universe, which appears to be both Terra, Ventus, and Aqua, I believe those 3 trios are considerably to be Wayfinder trio because of the forms of that specific lucky charm. And finally, in terms of the forms of Roxas, Axel / Lee, and especially noticeable with Shion, they all 3 are basically based off of around Sea Salt Trio, because they obviously really do enjoy sea salt ice cream every time whenever they finish the mission, and especially noticeable, they always go on to the exactly the same usual spot on top of the forms of that particular central station in Twilight Town, which makes it a little bit obvious for the sake of the forms of the majority of the cutscenes, for the sake of the forms of Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, so yeah, that makes it a little bit totally obvious for the sake of time. So anyway, in terms of the release dates for certain other games, I would like to point things out. There's this game called the Isle Tad Hotel is about to be releasing at some point on September. And finally, most notably, is Batman Arkham Trilogy. And for what I've noticed is that the Switch release of, Batman Arkham Trilogy is about to be releasing and during at some point on the 13th of October for this year. Makes sense because obviously Batman Arkham games are obviously always managed able to feel like a spooky themed or spooky vibes to it, especially notable because of the forms of how the fact that, well, yeah, it's a bit tricky to explain, because as a result, also I just realized that that particular compilation game is about to be releasing a week before, not only Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 5 by Insomniac Games, but also with the forms of course, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. So because of that though, yeah, I can totally see why that between both October and November are gonna be the biggest months in terms of the forms of gaming releases as far as I'm concerned. So, but either way though, that gives us a lot of high expectations when it comes to both months in particular. So either way though, that makes it a little bit more obvious. So, jump, just in case I do need to able to get myself that particular energy sphere right up there. So, yeah, I apologize for that particular very weird sound that's been going on recently, but that's just because I've almost got something in my nose. So, either way though, I'll try to sort that out once I finish this particular recording session first, because obviously about that specific point that I do need to... you know what I'm saying about the fact that we've almost nearly at the end in Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe at this point in time, especially concerning about that specific point about the fact that we're actually doing not too bad at all things considered. So, but either way, aside from all that stuff, I could possibly mention about this as well, that obviously that Cap King 74, he's still busy working on, you know, Pokemon Fire Red recently, and no matter what though, is about the fact that despite I haven't exactly caught up with the forms of that specific, well, again, it's a bit tricky to explain, because I know for a fact it's been quite a few hours since I just realized about the fact that we definitely need to chase after that guy with that key he's actually been holding, so... And something tells me I think I'm about to die at one point, especially with that, you know, that Gordo right there just somehow managed to show up, so... Oh well, no big deal, because, you know, we got checkpoints as soon as we get to the next room, so at least it's very generous, so... And thus, we don't get kicked out of the actual level, unlike the forms of how it does it on, most 2D Mario games since Super Mario Bros. 3, that basically though if you dare die in any level, you get kicked out of the level, and then you have to able to go back into the level that you died on, and then you have to try again. Although thankfully, in Journey forms have been Super Mario, let's just say in Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2, and especially noticeable with Super Mario 3D Land and 3D World, thankfully though you can able to actually just do like get back into the main action, while you don't have to necessarily try to worry about get kicked out of the level. And that can be also applies for Bowser's Fury as well. So a bit either way though, at the very least though, is about the fact that at least it's becoming a lot more generous when it comes to like, you know, get back into the actual main thing itself, even though it's a bit hard to explain about this for the sake of time, so... Alright, time to do some more bowling action with the forms of Snowball, and hopefully we're most able to get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to able to actually getting ourselves the entire strike runs, for not only for the first two right there, which obviously we're able to get ourselves some more healing items, and on top of that, for a third time, and also, yeah, if you dare touch the actual pins, you get hurt, so just be very careful. And it looks like we got ourselves a nice little perfect run, so that should be all pretty swell. So anyways, let's go ahead and create that particular snowman's head, and that should able to activate the usual, you know, portal, so that way we can able to actually get this out of the way. But, yeah, that's as far as I can talk about this for this point, guys. Although, then again, I would have able to actually try to able to explain anything else related to Mario Kart Tour, but I think I should probably save that for tomorrow, so... Just in case about the fact, no matter what, though, if there aren't any news to discuss, well, potentially speaking of, that's as far as I can usually say about this, I guess, so... And of course, we're gonna go into the hardest, segment in terms of the forms of this particular segment, which is of course we have to do with ice physics, you know? Yeah, it's gonna have to able to mainly try to concentrate at this point, especially that I've almost gonna die right there, but if I do die at one point, then I'll be pretty ticked off by then, but hopefully without giving me too much trouble, I don't think, so I could probably... Well, I've almost spoken too soon about this, because there are a couple of times, though, that I might accidentally run into the forms of some of those hasty moments here and there, but I will try my best if I... Oh, God. Looks like someone's in online at the moment. Oh, dang it! I spoke too soon on that front. Oh, that's a bit underwhelming. But hopefully, though, we'll just have to keep trying and hope for the best. And of course, we have to start all over again, so that's no big deal. Because I will still say that this one is easily the hardest one of the bunch when it comes to likely going for those dimension portal things. Because again, with ice physics, and on top of that, some very dangerous spiky stuff that can really hurt your butt very, very quickly. Although thankfully we can able to actually like keep on re-grabbing that extra life, so that's not that big of an issue. So either way though, at the very least though, that we can able to actually accept that. So yeah, not much else to say. Alright, so let's just get rid of this little giant block and blast through any of the like icicles from the ceiling. Ah, jeez. Sometimes ice physics doesn't seem to help me as much. And let's just take it slow with this point, because obviously if you dare rush, then you're gonna get crushed. And I was gonna ignore those specific star collectibles there, because obviously I just don't think it's kind of worth it, because obviously I'm also able to... Actually, let me go ahead and use the actual, that little item I somehow selected, which appears to be the cracker. So hopefully I can able to actually dish out as many of the health for that particular Sphere Duma, specifically the plasma one. So hopefully, well, assuming of course if my shot accuracy needs to be exact, so but either way though, sometimes it can be tricky at times, so... Alright, so he's almost down, so hopefully... there goes the actual cracker, so... Anyways, let's go ahead and finish him off with the actual bomb copy ability and make sure that we don't get hit. Oh god. Oh jeez. Oh my god, that was close. Almost assuming if I was almost gonna get myself screwed over, but thankfully, I somehow managed to succeed. With a little bit of health left. So, gee, that was a close call. Alright, so now we've actually done with that, and now let's go ahead and leave the level. And exponentially, we've only got 2 levels left until we basically move on to the 5th world, which is, of course, Nutty Noon, so... And also, I just realized about the fact that my phone's battery is almost dying, so either way, though, I might try able to actually charge it up once I've finished this particular recording session, so... That'll be the case for this point, so... Alright, so we're now going to be moving on to stage 5. So, obviously about the fact that with the later worlds that obviously we'll go ahead and complete 6 levels apiece. So, yeah, pretty much standard stuff. So, and of course this level where it features tons of rooms we can able to go to. But yeah, like I said before, there's not much else I can talk about, because obviously about that specific point that I'm actually going to be, this is one point about the fact that I'm actually going to be concentrating for the majority of the forms of the entire run on the extra mode, because there are a couple of times though that, like I said before, there might be a lot of death situations here and there, for the sake of the forms of certain obstacles, as you probably already expect. So, hopefully by that time it's all tomorrow, or possibly next week, that I'm also able to discuss upon something else entirely. So it's just one of those scenarios that I feel like that certain news and all that stuff might felt a bit bare bones a little bit. Although thankfully we did at the very least manage to explain quite a number of things that, you know, with Batman Arkham Trilogy is now finally getting its release date on its October release schedule. So but either way though, that's actually pretty swell and top notch, especially like I said before, it makes things a perfect fit for able to actually release that particular compilation in during the forms of an October month, because obviously it matches the forms of the Halloween theme, so makes a little bit more sense for that kind of thing about it. But anyways though, I'm not exactly sure if I was expecting to able to try to get Batman Arkham Trilogy on the Switch though, because obviously... Oh! Nope, I didn't make it. I did not make it to that particular room down there. Well, that's just because about the fact that I got distracted by the forms of getting surrounded by, you know, too many Waddle Dees and too many enemies like Cappies or something like that. But either way though, sometimes trial and error usually comes into play. But hopefully though, we can able to just try again if we don't pick that up by complete accident. And also we need to able to rush this, because obviously that if we don't rush this at all, obviously about the fact that we're able to let the cracker get automatically destroyed. Unless, if you do manage to able to utilize the souvenir item, then obviously you can able to actually use that as an alternative method if you manage to screw this up. So, at least it's very generous though, unlike the original Wii version, that obviously about the fact that you only have one attempt for doing this. So, at least if I'm assuming so anyway, so... Alright, so we'll just go ahead and bring out the fire copy ability, just in case we can able to actually make things a little bit quicker. Or, essentially speaking though, if we manage to able to go ahead and something tells me there's another energy sphere just in here. And we're going to have to be fast on this, just like always, so... Oh boy, this one feels a bit tricky around here. Which again, it's been about quite a few months ago since we've last experienced this place, because obviously about that specific point with the, you know what I'm saying, with the, you know, whole bunch of completed playthroughs of not only Super Mario All-Stars, but also with WarioWare Smooth Moves. Also, I just realized about the fact that we've never actually done I don't know about you, we have not exactly done the next WarioWare Let's Play for a while, ever since Enjoying Forms of in Spring, which I know for the fact that we were originally trying to able to... are you serious? Anyway though, because we were expecting if we were able to actually do it at some point in the summer, but it might be a bit too late for now, especially noticeable because now we've actually got, you know, WarioWare Move It, which I think the only reason why that WarioWare Move It did somehow announce out of nowhere, thanks to the forms of that particular Nintendo Direct, you know, with the recent one, since in June 21st, is most notably because we did somehow tackle through... Are you for real? Oh, I hate this part. Anyway though, Yeah, because we did somehow tackle through WarioWare's smooth moves, and obviously it's a good timing when it comes to the forms of trying to able to get yet another WarioWare installment on the Nintendo Switch. So either way though, I don't think it's possible that it will bring the third WarioWare game, although what I've noticed for certain though is about the fact that every now and then that the Nintendo Switch did somehow manage able to get themselves 3 WarioWare games on the Switch platform. Well, technically speaking though, but that's just because about the fact that we expecting to get, you know, 2 proper installments of the WarioWare games on the Switch, which obviously we've already got one in 2021, which is of course Get It Together, and now we're going to be able to get ourselves WarioWare Move It, which is obviously the newest game is about to be releasing until in November, the same month as Super Mario RPG Remake. And in addition to that though, we also managed to get ourselves WarioWare Inc. Minigame Mania, thanks to the forms of the Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pack. Although, I'm not exactly sure if it's possible we might able to actually get WarioWare Twisted in the future, because it does utilize the actual gyro sensing controls, just like in Kirby Tilt and Tumble, but we shall see what happens there. Especially noticeable because at this point in time, I don't think we can able to actually hear about the forms of more Game Boy Advance game updates anytime soon, but I'm sure enough that we'll able to actually find out more details about that, assuming of course if the Direct actually is about to happen during the forms of in the September month, so. Alright, so we're just gonna have to get, oh jeez. I totally forgot that particular beam-like enemy right there. But I promise you guys, during that some point until tomorrow, I won't be able to have that much death situations here and there. Because I swear to, like, usually well speaking though, because every time when I play extra mode on my own time for a bit, it did took me a lot of deaths here and there. But anyways, let's go ahead and bring out the ice copy ability, so just in case we can able to activate that switch through that specific spike over there. And, well, get ourselves the energy sphere in the process. And I'm pretty certain about the fact that we pretty much almost at the halfway point in terms of the forms of those energy spheres grinding for the likes of the forms of extra mode in mind. Oh yeah, relatively speaking also is about the fact that we only got about, I would say 13 days to go until Rayman in the Phantom Show DLC is about to happen. Oh, dang it, I lost my footing! No, I suppose it really doesn't matter, because obviously we've got the energy sphere, so that all that really matters. So, seriously, I always have a hard time with this particular spot right there, especially noticeable, because I have no idea what that is. Maybe because it was in the dark, not on top of that though, it's just about the fact that with ice physics, and in addition to holding one of those specific items, sometimes it just somehow loses my momentum a little bit. But thankfully we did somehow manage to make it for this point. And I think this is now the last point of the level, and oh jeez, those guys are about to try to get to me. Which, then again, those enemies right there, does kind of reminds me of the forms of those Phantom Masks during the forms of in Super Mario Bros. 2, aka Super Mario USA. But anyways, let's go ahead and open this up and use the festival. I think this is the final time we're going to be using the festival copy ability, because aside from all that stuff though, well, exponentially though, until next year, that once we're able to see festival again, we're able to actually go back on to, or should I say, we're about to hit on to Kirby Star Allies until next year, which as a result, because I still felt incredibly bad for able to actually missing out on that particular Let's Play of Kirby Star Allies, but hopefully that'll make it happen, but we're not exactly sure when that's going to be happening. I do know for certain it's going to be on next year for sure, but we just don't know when exactly it's about to be up. Alright, time to tackle through the next boss in the extra mode. So either way though, and exponentially we can able to unlock, oh, we didn't unlock anything, so that's fine for me, because obviously about the fact that, aside from the fact that we've already unlocked the, I would say by the forms of another one of those sub-games for that matter, but technically speaking though, we've already did manage to able to tackle for the majority of, Merry Megaland, as you probably expect at this point, so. Alright, since about the fact that we're going to be using the Fighter copy ability once again, to able to take on this particular gorilla boss once again, except now that he's actually almost entirely in black. So, anywho though, again, not much else to say, because I know for a fact that I've already mentioned quite a few things here and there, so... And I'm very happy to report about the fact that, thankfully, though, the uploading schedules is now back on track. So at the very least, though, we're now onto its normal steady pace now. So at the very least, I fully appreciate it. So, especially noticeable, sometimes it takes a bit of time to able to actually get these. Oh, jeez! I did not notice that attack. He somehow managed to activate the Spirit Bomb. I mean, what is this like? He did somehow get the actual, like, I don't know, the actual energy power from any other, like, you know, the bad guy's minions or something like that, and then he just somehow used the Spirit Bomb in the process, saying like, hope you come back someday, see you later, kind of line. Although maybe I keep thinking about I keep on playing Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3, when it comes to only playing as Goku, specifically the Majin Buu counterpart, or the Majin Buu Saga counterpart of Goku, because it involves of the amount of transformations, like Super Saiyan 1, Super Saiyan 2, and Super Saiyan 3, because I know for certain for one thing of one of his ultimate special moves called Spirit Bomb, that he did say that line whenever you try to finish up with Kid Buu by the end of the Majin Buu Saga, so that's what I've heard about it anyway. Although, unlike in Budokai Tenkaichi 1 and 2, there's no other variants for Goku between, like, you know, the mid, early, or end, so yeah, there's only one counterpart for that particular regard. And from here, we now got ourselves the emblem for the actual Lord Star Cutter. So we've only got one ship part left, and that's of course the Oria, or just anything else for that matter. Again, I apologize for my commentary because it's a bit slightly bare bones, but it's just about the fact that I've already mentioned quite a few little things here and there. So, but either way though, yeah, that was it basically. So either way though, so now we're going to be moving on to the 5th world, which is of course Nutty Noon. But before we end off the video right here, not only do we need to able to add some more stamps into our stamp cards, but also about the fact that we'll exponentially get ourselves the next mask exponentially. So at the very least, we actually got ourselves some quite a few items back, in addition to the forms of the maximum tomatoes as well, and exponentially we'll go ahead and change into a different mask, and this time we're about to wear marks based off from Kirby Superstar's final boss. Although I was expecting to able to include Mark's soul, but that's usually only exists in the Ultra version of Kirby Superstar, kind of thinking about it, on the DS anyway. So anyway, I think we'll go to leave from here, and exponentially speaking though, we can also able to actually go around in a full circle now for certain world selections in the Popstar planet. So either way though, not much else to tell for this point. So with that being said, I think we should probably be ending stuff at this point right here. So join me tomorrow for more of Let's Play of Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, and that's what appears to be about the fact that when it comes to extra mode itself, we're going to be hit on to the 5th world, which is of course Nutty Noon. So yeah, I'll see you guys until tomorrow. Later, fellas.